Another UFC year is in the history books, and just like always, there are plenty of moments to revisit, celebrate, and even laugh at. We had the good, jaw-dropping knockouts, breakout stars, and championship performances that raised the bar for excellence. Might have welcomed a potential GOAT or two even.
This is different.
We enjoyed the bad, shocking upsets, missed opportunities, and some real thirsting. The last one was especially awkward. And of course, we saw a fair share of the ugly, stupidity, cringe, and some unholy glazing. Yuck. But that's what makes UFC and MMA so special. It's messy, unpredictable, and completely addicting. Whether it's the highs, the lows, or the downright bizarre, this sport keeps us glued to our screen and on the edge of our seats, and 2024 was no different. So before we charge into another year of violence, chaos, and cringe, let's take one final look back at everything 2024 had to offer.
Thank you to the Fighting Business, absolutely amazing.
One of my favorite new channels going right now.
Greatest face-offs. The face-off, whether at a press conference, weigh-in, or inside the octagon, is a silent war of minds before the actual war. It's a moment when two fighters, already on a collision course, square up and test wheels. These three face-offs were a masterclass in raw energy, unspoken respect, and had the kind of intensity which makes you wish they would throw down right there and then. Runner-up, Alex Pereira versus Khalil Rountree. 9 times out of 10, Alex Pereira will mog his opponents in the face-off, exuding a presence so savage that his opponents can't help but shrink. You can't hope to compete with a savage like that, especially now with the path of destruction he has been on ever since he moved up to 205. But for some reason, when Alex Pereira stood face-to-face with Khalil Rountree, someone who no one gave a chance to, he didn't look as terrifying as usual. Khalil didn't seem to think so, at least, and he stared right back at Poatan, silently promising a war to one of the greatest combat sports athletes of all time. More on that later. Runner-up, Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Garry. When two top contenders, who you know are as good as advertised, face off, there is a palpable sense of tension. One is going to move up and the other goes to the back of the line. When two top undefeated contenders who you know will hold championship gold at some point square off, that sense of tension is amplified, and it feels more like certain doom. You know, one of them will not be the same after this one is over, and these two knew this far better than we did. Winner, Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. It was all fun and games for Islam at the UFC 302 pre-fight press conference. He was the champion who was about to tie the record and a huge favorite over Dustin Poirier, so for the most part, he was there to chill and troll Dustin. Relax, brother.
Dustin, why are you so nervous, man? Relax, enjoy, man. Let's have fun.
It all changed when he faced off against the challenger, and Dustin said something he was not supposed to say.
Don't sleep. Don't sleep.
The demeanor shifted real quick, and for a second, it looked as if Islam was actually going to slap him. You don't say that to a Dagestani, but despite the obvious danger to his life, Poirier did not back off or shut up. Islam was pissed, but Poirier was desperate, and that made for one hell of a stare down, the best one of the year. Greatest on the mic. We're in the second year of the WWE merger and the promos are getting better. Hell, Michael Chandler showed up on WWE Raw and delivered a fiery one, but in hindsight, that was more hilariously depressing than epic. These bits, however, were actually epic. Runner-up, Bryan Battle. You knocked out the local favorite. The crowd hates your guts. Instead of stunned silence and sorrow, they are triggered and showering you with hatred and vitriol. And instead of stuttering and getting drowned by the hatred, you stand your base and let them have it.
I know y'all did not think the Butcher was gonna lose in a fist fight to a French dude. That ain't never gonna happen, baby.
This was peak heel energy from Bryan Battle, who had just knocked out Kevin Jousset, and he didn't give two shits about the crowd and what they had to say. My guy went absolutely off, and no matter how loud they got, his words rang clearly and painfully. Putain, ce mec a des couilles, wesh. Runner-up, Tom Aspinall. The pressure on interim champion Tom Aspinall for UFC 304 was unreal. The fight was in his backyard. His body clock was messed up due to the stupid pay-per-view timing, and he was up against his most difficult matchup in the division, someone who had technically beaten him before. Curtis Blades, and John Jones, the quote-unquote heavyweight champion, was watching and praying for Aspinall to lose so he could brag about himself on Twitter. When Aspinall dusted Blades in a few minutes in his backyard and successfully defended his title, the tide had shifted, and in the post-fight interview, Aspinall called out Jon Jones in the most respectful yet disrespectful way possible.
Hello, John. I have nothing against you personally, but I just think I'm better than you. I just know that I can beat you in a fight, so I'm coming for it.
As if to say, your legacy goes through me now. Winner, Dricus du Plessis. This was the most obvious pick. Bro was like Prime Cruz, but with even more darkness and tears.
Bro, you think your dad beat the shit out of you? Your dad doesn't have shit on me. Every childhood memory you have is gonna come back.
du Plessis triggered and broke Strickland at the end of 2023, and Strickland cried on Theo Von's podcast to get over the trauma that Dricus inflicted on him.
I'm sorry, buddy.
That's all good, dude.
Imagine not just rattling Strickland, but making him cry on a podcast. And then he did the same to Israel Adesanya. Adesanya should have stayed quiet when Dricus dropped this venom.
When did I become the underdog?
You know, it's a pick'em. It's very...
Nobody said anything about dogs, bro. Chill out.
I said that.
But he foolishly kept going on and left the press conference in tears. Literally. Dricus is the best trash talker in the current UFC. Dude made two grown men, former middleweight champions, cry out of sheer despair and trauma. Get ready to see him at this spot next year too. Worst year. MMA is a cruel game, one that can turn champions into cautionary tales overnight, and it didn't show any mercy this year either. Like I often say, losing is part of the sport, but there's a difference between defeat and public humiliation. One moment you're the future of the division, the next you're a punchline, or worse, Bellator bound. Runner-up, Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith actually won once in 2024. Bet you didn't remember that. I didn't either at first until I started doing research for this video. He beat Vitor Petrino at UFC 301 by submission. An alright win, but then he fought a few months later on short notice against Roman Dolidze, a middleweight. Short notice, I get that, but Smith had no reason to look as bad as he did against Roman, especially not on the feet. Dolidze basically dominated him while looking 2 weight classes smaller. Getting beat by Roman on the feet should lead to an automatic retirement, but Smith fought again towards the end of the year against Dominic Reyes, and Reyes destroyed him, like 172 strikes to 24 levels of obliteration, and sent Smith to the retirement home, with very little chances of him coming back. That's how the paper crumbles, I guess. Runner-up, Benoit Saint-Denis. Benoit Saint-Denis was an undefeated lightweight when he began the year, having knocked out Matt Frevola with a brutal head kick in November of 2023. Then he was handed a golden opportunity to face Dustin Poirier at UFC 299. Facing a legend and star like Dustin Poirier in a title eliminator is a dream for new generation